This is the new 2024 flagship 9.1.5 channel Dolby Atmos soundbar from LG that promises to elevate your home theater sound with a wider, richer soundstage so you can enjoy the most immersive sound experience right from your couch. The problem is, after spending some time with it, I found this to be one of the worst and most inconsistent soundbar experiences I've had to date, and in no way justifies its $1,500 price tag. Let's talk about my experience and find out why you may want to avoid this flagship underperformer. Let's roll that unboxing. Quick disclaimer, LG did not send me this unit to review, and even if they did, I'd still keep it 100% honest and unbiased and give you my actual factual opinion. That said, if you decide to buy this soundbar or any recommendations I make in this video and want to help support this channel, consider not only hitting that subscribe button and notification bell, but using the links in the description to help my channel grow. Now, before we get into anything, some background information on myself. While I wouldn't categorize myself as an expert soundbar reviewer, I've been in studio environments for over 20 years. I have a high-quality set of studio monitors I use every day, a full 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos home theater system with Polk Signature Series speakers, an aftermarket sound system in my car, and yes, I've reviewed a few soundbars on this channel before, so I feel like I'm at least qualified enough to know what sounds good and what doesn't to give you some solid audio advice. Another thing to keep in mind is I bought this soundbar the day it went on sale, so it is possible that through firmware updates some improvements could be on the way, and by the time other reviewers or even you at home try this soundbar, things could be improved. And finally, sound is a very subjective thing, and whether something sounds good to you could be based on factors like your experience. If this is your first soundbar, you're probably going to think it sounds great, and things like your acoustic environment and space. This is just my personal experience during my time with the soundbar. The S95TR comes with a total of 4 pieces. You're getting the actual soundbar, which has a total of 3 up-firing speakers, but focuses on the center up-firing speaker as being able to enhance dialogue clarity as if it was spoken in person. The bar measures in at about 49 inches wide, is about 2.5 inches tall, has a depth of about 5 inches, and weighs in at about 12.5 pounds. You then have the subwoofer, which has a slim build and sits about 8 inches wide, has a height of about 16 inches, a depth of about 16 inches, and weighs in at about 22 pounds, and of course a set of wireless rear speakers that both have one up-firing speaker built into the top to help with Atmos surround sound. A few things worth mentioning: it does state the soundbar matches up perfectly with the latest LG series of TVs, which include the B4, C4, and G4, and this is probably to take advantage of features like being able to sync the soundbar wirelessly to your TV via Wi-Fi for a more wire-free setup. Now, I'm not sure if this works with current gen TVs like the C3, but even then, while LG promises a lag-free and no loss of audio quality experience, my experience tells me wired is always going to be the way to go for the best possible quality. Speaking of wireless, I'm giving away a brand new set of Rode Wireless Pro microphones to one lucky viewer. All you've got to do is be subscribed and comment what you do with them if you won. Every video between now and April 20th is another chance to win. I'll pick one winning comment on April 25th. Good luck. Now let's get back to the video. As I said before, it is a 9.1.5 channel soundbar, which has up to 810 watts of power, can deliver Dolby Atmos and DTS:X signals, and uses what LG calls 3D spatial sound, which creates a virtual dome that delivers a more cinematic experience. It's also compatible with Alexa, Google Assistant, AirPlay 2, and Chromecast, and you can stream music from your phone with Spotify or Tidal Connect. One last note, I don't see HDMI 2.1 listed specifically under specs, but it does say it has 120Hz pass-through for gaming, so I'm assuming it does, but even if not, you can always connect your console to your TV and use an eARC port to get around that, assuming your TV has HDMI 2.1. The remote could be built better, as I find it to be extremely light and plasticky. I don't know how well it'll hold up over time since I'm not keeping it, but I think you'd be better off downloading the LG Soundbar app, where you can do everything the remote can do, and more, like do an AI calibration that'll measure the acoustics of your room and set each speaker to the best possible settings, change the sound modes you're in where you can select presets like All Sound Pro, Standard, Cinema, Clear Voice Pro, and Sports to name a few, access more in-depth sound settings like DRC that adjust the loud and soft volume parts and mixes them together for a smoother listening experience, and manually adjust the volumes of each independent speaker if the calibration didn't do a good enough job. Now keep in mind my ears are used to my Denon and Polk home theater system, and while I wasn't expecting it to match that quality head on, first impressions are important, and the first thing I noticed once I fired it up was that the dialogue was off and had kind of a muffled or altered sound. The clarity my Polk center speaker delivers on dialogue wasn't there, so I ran a calibration expecting things to clear up, and honestly, it wasn't that much better. So I ran through every preset mode the app offers, and after trying a variety of movies, ended up liking the cinema setting the most, which I felt delivered the best 3D image with the clearest dialogue. I then went in and adjusted each individual channel's volume in the app using the Super Mario Bros. Movie as a reference until I was fully satisfied with the sound. One thing I did was turn the rear speaker volumes all the way down as they're overly loud by default. I prefer a more subtle rear speaker volume so that the focus is on the front channels, which helps to create a better soundstage. Even at that, there were random times where a spiked loud sound would occasionally get through a rear speaker, so it wasn't perfect, but I was good with it. Once everything was dialed in, I was happy, but even with the best settings possible, I couldn't help but feeling like the dialogue was still just a hair off. If only I could isolate the dialogue specifically and raise it another 2 or 3 dB, I think I would have been happy. This is where the soundbar's inconsistency becomes apparent. Once dialed in, movies mixed in Dolby Atmos like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the newer Suicide Squad, and The Harder They Fall sounded fantastic, but when I tried non-Atmos content, they just sound bad across the whole spectrum. Bass was muddy and non-impactful, surround sound lacked the 3D image Atmos content provided, and the blend between sound effects and dialogue was all over the place. It's just astounding how one movie could sound really good and another would force you back to adjusting speaker volumes and sound modes to get it right. Now I have the much lower priced JBL Bar 500 in our bedroom and don't experience any kind of inconsistency like this. I fully expected, being that this is LG's flagship, that I was going to be blown away, especially considering the $1,500 price tag. This is definitely one example of how just because something is more expensive, that doesn't make it better. Now for those of you who have your wallets out and are ready to buy this soundbar, I'm going to recommend an alternative that at the time of this video is on sale even cheaper than the S95TR, and many out there have already heard it and preferred it over the previous LG flagship, so I'm willing to bet it's still better than this one. I'll drop that link in the description below. At the end of the day, if you must have a soundbar, that link should serve you well, but if you've got the space and can stretch your budget a little more, nothing's going to beat a quality AV receiver and home theater speaker setup. That's just my opinion, it's not for everyone. That's my experience with the S95TR. When it was first announced, I was really excited to get my hands on it and try it out. Unfortunately, it didn't come close to meeting the hype I created in my brain. If there's a soundbar or product you'd like to see on this channel, let me know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap things up for today. I'll see you next time.